Welcome to today's episode of Cutie Cute Cards and Crafts, where I'm finally starting, shaking a little bit. I'm using my brand new, what do you call it, phone holder, and so it gets a little shaky when you touch it. It's not a steady tripod. Anyway, I'm starting my lettering YouTube series. What I was initially going to do was do several letters at a time, but instead I decided maybe I'll do one letter at a time and using different writing medium. I'm self-taught, so maybe some of the techniques or some of the terminology may not be correct, or I may not be using technical terms just because I am just self-taught. Really what I did was watch a bunch of Instagram videos, no lie, just studying them and watching the way they would hold their pens, hold their brushes, how much pressure. So with this series, I want to be able to show you how I do my writing style with the different pens, and maybe you can, for people who want to learn, will study it and kind of mimic my movements to give them a chance to learn, you know, muscle memory and how to do it, and then figure out the style all your own. So the pens I'm going to be using are the Tombow Funasuki pens. This black one right here, this one is the soft tip, and this blue one is the hard tip. And you can probably hear my daughter shuffling her feet back there. You'll probably hear her pop in and out. So these have somewhat of a different feel to them because of the hard tip and the soft tip, with the flexibility and the amount of pressure you need to put and to make the thick and thin lines. So it'll be interesting to see how I show you how to do this. So I've got the Tombow Funasuki, which you can buy on Amazon. You can even buy these as a pair on Amazon. I will be using my Winsor & Newton Cotman round brush, size 1, which is my ultimate favorite brush. And you've seen me use it on several occasions, several videos, so it'll be fun to show you how I use it in a more in-depth way. And lastly, I will be using the Pentel Fuda Touch sign pen, which is kind of similar to the soft tip of the Tombow Funasuki pens. So, but it's a little bit of a longer tip, just slightly. You know, you see how that is. And yeah. So let's get started. I am going to bring this phone, which I use to film, a little bit closer and hopefully at a better angle. And oh, for this brush, I will be using Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus Fine Art Watercolor in black, and I've got it right here already. And then I'll add a little bit of water to like make it a little bit more liquid and a little bit more to my liking. And maybe in another video I can talk about what I use, like what kind of watercolors I use and how I use them. Anyway, let's get started. I'll see you in a second. To create thick and thin lines, it really depends on how much pressure you put on the pen against the paper. Some pens, oh, it's shaking. I think I'm shaking it as I'm touching the table. Sorry. Some of the pens, depending on the softness or flexibility of their tip, need a little bit more pressure than others. So what we're going to do is start off with the Tombow Funasuki calligraphy pen in the hard tip. Now this is the pen that I used to begin with. It's got, like it says, it's a hard tip, and so the bounce back from applying pressure onto it is a little easier. So then I felt as a beginner I had a little bit more control because I could press down on the paper with this and the tip would just go right back where it needed to be so that I can get that thin line. So let's do the lowercase a with this hard tip. So the basic movement is going to be low pressure, hard pressure, low pressure, hard pressure. So low pressure going up, more pressure going down. It always looks ugly when I try the first time. No pressure going up, more pressure going down, and then low pressure, depending on how you want to finish that letter off. Now you can see that right here I messed up, and so the great thing about this stuff, this, you know, modern calligraphy and writing and doing all these lettering, is you can go back and you can fix it. If you just very carefully go over it, just like that, it's like it never happened. Let's try it again with the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip. And as you can see, like, it's hard to talk at the same time. This one, you kind of need a little bit more pressure to make that thick line, just because of the hard tip nature. So I'm gonna do this one more time, but you can see that I'm just barely touching the paper, and then you can hear, I don't know if you can hear that, or you can hear I'm pressing down on the paper. You see that? And then it's right here where it just didn't quite look as smooth. You could just go over that and poof, it's not there. Now let's go over with the soft tip. Now with the soft tip, this one has a lot of flex, and you'll see that you can make a little bit of a thicker line with this. And so you don't really need to add as much pressure. See that? See how that just easily bends to your will. I'll do it again. You can even see that up close that the pen really just, it's a soft tip, so it really, it's flexible. One more time. Oops, this one. So you can always go back. That's the great thing about this. You always go back and no one will be the wiser. Now the same thing with the Pentel Fuda Touch sign pen. Let's do it right over here. With this Pentel Fuda Touch sign pen, it's about the same softness as the Tombow soft tip. You see that? But I feel that this one had a little bit of a learning curve for me to kind of get used to, but once I got used to it, I absolutely love these pens. Look at how smooth I can get that. There's no skip right here that you noticed I did with the soft tip. It just kind of, you see that? See where the pen, the brush kind of bends? I think you can see it better at this angle from all the way over here at the end of the screen. How the tip is very straight, and then you see that bend. And then see how soft that is. Beautiful. Oh, there's a little skip there, so do, and it never happened. Now using a paintbrush is a little different because a paintbrush doesn't bounce back the way a pen can. You see how I mean, it's a brush, so it takes a while to learn the control of a paintbrush. But let's go over it slowly anyway. Now I'm going to be using my Dr. Paige Martens. So I like the round tip. I feel like I have a lot of control with this size too. This is a size 1. You see how, depending with how much pressure you put on it, and the great thing about it is you see how kind of shaky it is at first. You always go back very carefully and make it look like it never happened. Let's do, you can even adjust thickness. See? See that? When I first started, I did things big, just like this, because then I really I got the hang of pressure, control, and doing them really big, kind of. You can hear my kids coughing in the background. I think they're trying to be quiet. Okay. And then let's do it from all the way over here so you can kind of see the brush angle. See? Now one last time for good measure, right here. Brush tips, brushes, and brush lettering was what I studied the most when I was trying to figure out how to do all this hand lettering. Because when I first picked up brush, I could not for the life of me figure out how to control it. So I spent a lot of time on Instagram and YouTube trying to look at videos where people were using paintbrushes to see like how they held it, what brushes they used, what brushes worked for them, how the brush touched the paper. So I hope that these videos will help you see the details on how exactly the technique is so that you can apply it for your own lettering. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how to improve, what angles I should use, and what more you want to see, what kind of detail, how you want me to describe these lettering techniques, and help me get better, because I want to get better at helping you. So thanks for watching, and I hope to get all the letters of the alphabet out in a timely manner. So I'll see you next time. Bye.